Git. Okay. So Git is a version control system, okay, mostly used with respect to the cloud. Okay. We can also use to save files and all. Okay, but for files and all we do not need various versions and all, but for code we need it. So that's why I said mostly used with coding and all. So suppose there are multiple people, multiple developers working on a project. Okay, and if there is no version control system like Git, what they will do, they will create the code and they will share it in a some shared folder. Okay, or they will send it to each other using files. Okay, or via email and all, or via USB. Okay, that's what they will do. And again they will find that it is difficult to merge them and create a single project from it. So if a project is divided into multiple parts, different people will be working on different modules of that particular software project. Okay, so if if the sharing is done like this, that is manually via email or via USB or by file sharing, okay, then there is an inconsistency. Nothing is proper. Okay, sometimes the files get overwritten. Nobody can revert it to the older version, or you can say to the older code. Okay, so that's why a centralized repository is required. Okay, where everyone can store their code, and they can work separately on the single project as well. Okay, because everyone will be updating something in the centralized repository. Okay, and a version will be maintained. Suppose I have done some changes today, I have sent it to a version control system. Okay, then a particular version will be maintained there. So tomorrow tomorrow or in the after some time in the evening, I again send it to the centralized repository and create another version. Okay, tomorrow I'll create a third version. Okay, and day after tomorrow I'll create a fourth version. And on the fourth day, if I want to revert to the first day, I can do it easily with the Git. Okay, that's why it is called as version control system. A version is maintained for each commit. Actually, we say commit whenever we save and send it to a centralized repository, it is called as commit. Whenever we commit, a version is created. Okay, and that version can be maintained, that in this particular version these features are there, in the other particular version these features are there. This we can maintain in some readme file or some other document. So that's why version control system is important. Multiple people can work on it, multiple people can merge their work. Okay, they can collaborate properly, they can send a merge request and get their work reviewed. Other can review and then only it will get pushed to a centralized repository. All these things, all these collaborations is possible using Git. So there are two types of version control systems generally, centralized and the distributed ones. So if you see the screen, subversion, it is also one of the tool, version control tool. Earlier it was largely used, even some people are using, still they are using it. Okay. Subversion, one of the older one is CVS. Both are centralized version control systems. Centralized means we always suppose it is on the internet somewhere. Okay, so we'll always need an internet connection to work on it. Okay, we cannot have means only works when connected and automatically update the data. Okay, only when we are connected to the repository we can work. Okay, whereas in a distributed ones you can have your local copy. Okay, working copy means at multiple locations you can work on it, and whenever the remote repository is online we can push it there. But for working properly, you don't need an internet connection or a continuous connection to your remote repository. You can always work with the distributed one. Okay, and the Linus Torvald itself created this Git. Okay, who is also a creator of Linux. So this is quite popular nowadays. Okay, everyone learns about Git. and Git is a distributed version control system where copies are given to particular user, allowing offline work. Okay, and in centralized system also there is offline work, but it is limited, not the way it is done by Git. And why it is important, it is crucial for team coding, history tracking, so we can create even the branches, merge can be done, backup, code review, reproducibility, and integrated development. So all these features make it a very popular tool. Okay, uh, created by Linus Torvald in 2005, and the main purpose is efficiently managing the source code changes, that is a particular version. So why we should use Git? It provides version control for tracking changes. Okay, it is easy for collaboration. Okay, we can easily do some experimentation. We can reproduce the code. Whatever a bug was there in a particular version, we can reproduce it. Okay, as it keeps the history of the commits. Okay, it can also act as a backup for your code. Okay, if you save it on your laptop, the code, and due to some reason the laptop crashes, you lose all your data, so it can also act as your backup system. Can be used for audit trial. Okay, due to some reason if the code breaks or the software breaks, we can check which particular commit caused that. Okay, so we can also audit it, and multiple people can work together, so concurrent work is possible, and it works well in distributed environments, which I've already seen that. So how Git works? Okay, so as it maintains various version, okay, a snapshot of the files and changes is created. Okay, so internally it does the snapshot, means at that particular point of time a snapshot will be created when a commit is done internally, and it maintains that snapshot. Okay, and snapshot with some metadata means data about data. So due to that, it maintains when it was created, the project's timeline is tracked. Okay, and so staging, we haven't covered about staging, but I'll let you know that staging, suppose means we will have a remote repository. Okay, then we'll have so on the next screen we'll explain. So this is the remote repository which you created in, suppose, in a GitHub. Okay, so GitHub is not the only Git tool. Okay, so Git is a tool actually, but GitHub provides a place where we can create a repository using Git. Okay, so there is a difference between Git and GitHub. Git is one of the command which helps us to interact with the GitHub repository. So GitHub is one of the repository. Bitbucket is there, GitLab is there. Okay, these three are very popular ones. So suppose you created a remote repository. Okay, you push your code there. Okay, and before pushing the code, it is pushed in a staging area. So there are three commands: git add, git commit, and git push. Okay, so when you do git add, okay, it will be in a staging area. Okay, and then when you do the git commit, okay, it is still in a local one. Okay, local repository, and when we do git push, it goes to a remote repository. Okay, and the reverse is when you fetch it, it comes to a local repository in a staging area, and we can do git pull, git checkout, git clone. Okay, so we'll be learning soon about this, but staging area means a virtual area before pushing it directly to a remote repository. That means the changes are done, it is stored somewhere in a staging area. Now when we do git push, it will go to a remote repository, and we can choose which changes to include in the next commit. Okay, so it is possible that due to staging, what we can commit in the next one. And we can even create multiple branches in a Git. Multiple branches means, suppose you have a code, then a development code will be in a dev branch. Okay, and the production code will be in the main branch. We can also have a staging branch where we can create the testing, we can do the testing and all. Okay, so various branch, creating the branches is possible. Okay, and the remote repositories can be used by multiple people, aiding collaboration. Okay. So, and the important one is SHA-1. Okay, so it is one of the algorithm used, okay, for checking checksums. Okay, so internally it uses SHA-1. So snapshot and SNA1, these are the two important keywords for this slide. You should remember this. And Git streamlines the collaboration, we have already seen. So again, I'll explain this. We'll create a remote repository. Okay. Then when we create a remote repository, this remote repository is created. We will clone it on your local laptop. Okay. After cloning, we will do checkout. Checkout means go to a particular branch or pull the changes. Okay. We can also do git pull. Okay. Git fetch, git merge. Okay. These are all for getting the remote work, okay, on our local system. Okay, so this working directory. So when you get using any one of those command, okay, so initially we do git clone and git checkout. Then later on, whenever suppose you have cloned this repository, okay, some other people have also worked on the same repository and the changes are not in your local repository. At that time you will do git pull, so that the other changes which other developers have done on the same project, okay, they will get pulled. Okay, similarly git fetch and git merge can be done. Okay, this will cover later. So suppose you have downloaded the code, you have worked on it. Okay, then you will run the command git add. Okay, so when you do git add, it is not directly going to the remote repository, it is going to a virtual area called staging area. Okay, then when you do git commit and git push, it goes to a remote repository. Okay, so suppose you have downloaded a repository, you have worked on it, and again you are pushing it in a remote repository. So in the production environment, okay, before doing push, it is also when you do push, it is done push is done to a particular branch. Suppose it is a dev branch. Okay, then a PR will be raised. Okay, or merge request will be raised. It will be reviewed. Only after reviewed, the merge can be done. Okay, while doing the merge, actually after pushing, will merge it from dev to main. Okay, and when you merge it, a review will be done, and only after review, that changes in the dev branch will be merged into main branch, and no one will again touch the main branch. That the work is done till here. Again we'll start with the dev branch. So this is how it works in a production environment. So some of the commands which we will learn is git init, okay, initialize a repository, git clone, git add, commit, pull, push, branch, merge. All this command we'll see. Okay, so these best practices are very important. So as I said, we'll be cloning a repository, we'll be making some changes. Okay, so suppose you are working continuously for 4 to 5 hours. Okay, so if you think that only after 5 hours when my work gets completed I will commit, don't do that. Whenever you think the code should be pushed to the remote repository, we should commit often. Okay, and when you commit, we should add some meaningful message. Okay, so clear commit messages should be sent. Always use separate branches, don't keep everything in a main branch. Okay, so generally how it is done, a development branch is created. Okay, so nobody works directly on the development branch, they will create a separate feature branch. Separate features of a project will be created by different people. Okay, they will create a separate feature branch, they'll work on the feature branch, they'll merge the feature branch into dev branch. Okay, and then at last the dev branch is merged into a main branch. So generally dev, staging and main branches are created, and along with that feature, if you want a new feature in a particular project, that feature, and if you find a bug and to solve a bug, a new branch can also be created. And as I said earlier in the diagram, we should push the changes or pull the changes before pushing our changes into remote repository, so that we can get the changes with other developers or DevOps engineers have done. Okay, and code review should be always done. Okay, to improve the code quality. So generally the code review is done by an architect, software architect, or a senior architect or senior developer, or it can be done within the team as well.